Welcome to the 2013 SB Nation NCAA Tournament Bracket Spectacular. I'm told spectacular, and I'm told incorrectly. So, we are now going to talk the South region with South Orange Juice's own Rob Manganaro and Coach Nick himself from BBallBreakdown. You can find all of his videos on the SB Nation network. Let's get into it. Kansas, the #1 seed, Rob. Strong thoughts with Bill Self, obviously. Ben McLemore looks to be a lottery pick. How far can they go?
Well, I think they're going to make it out of this region.
Wow.
I think McLemore looks outstanding. He's probably a top 3 lottery pick in the upcoming draft, so I think they'll probably come out of this region.
How good do you feel about North Carolina? They could see Kansas in the second round if they're going to get by, I should know this, Villanova, of course, a team that Rob knows quite well. But what do you think about North Carolina, especially as they've sort of transitioned to a much better team?
Well, you know, they are playing a lot better, and they're going to give anybody they play some trouble. But I feel like in the balance, certainly Kansas is going to come out of there without too much trouble playing them, I think.
And P.J. Harrison, of course, has made that North Carolina team so much better since he entered into the starting lineup. Even with an injured hand, he's been playing out of his mind. VCU, a 5 seed. It's very difficult to take VCU lightly. Why is that? What does VCU do that gets them so far into the tournament?
Well, you know, they kind of just create havoc. And
Yep.
if you're not prepared to handle that kind of trapping, pressing craziness, then you're going to suffer the consequences.
And they have Akron in the first round. Any chance from the MAC?
Yeah, I like Akron. They run a 3-out,
A
2-in.
big MAC team,
There you
if
go.
you will. Yes, Akron, yeah.
They run a 3-out, 2-in, and
Okay.
they utilize their big men well down low.
Yep.
The question is, can they get the ball that far to get it to them? And if they can make it a game. But if they can't, it'll be over pretty quick.
And Michigan is a team I think we've all watched a lot of because of Trey Burke, a National Player of the Year candidate type, just amazing, and Tim Hardaway Jr. also in that backcourt. How prepared is Michigan to deal with that up in full court havoc basketball of VCU?
Well, I like what they do on offense. They do a lot of Princeton-style stuff with high post and cutting and movement, so they understand spacing and angles, which is exactly what you would need to do to go against a team like VCU.
And do you agree with Rob that Michigan is not as good at Kansas as Kansas at this point is going to come out of that part of the bracket?
It's close, but no, I would go with Kansas. I think has a little more firepower.
All right, we'll go to the bottom half of that bracket. Of course, UCLA and Minnesota. I'm trying to find something interesting about this game. Jordan Adams, UCLA's second leading scorer, goes out in the semifinals of the Pac-12 tournament. Minnesota, a team not great, but in a good Big Ten, they looked good enough. Tubby, Ben, too good. I don't know why I went with the first names of these two coaches, but what is there to like about these two teams? What is there to like about UCLA in particular?
Well, you know, I don't think there's a lot to like. I've
Okay.
watched them this year, and basically their offense is so rote. They
Okay.
literally, it's not even a read and react kind of a thing. They have to throw it to this guy, and then I have to throw it to this guy. And when a defense simply denies that pass, they get stuck, and they don't score. They turn the ball over, and it becomes a mess. I mean, listen, they rely on their man-to-man defense. It's very solid. It makes it difficult on teams, and so they're going to be in these games. But again, like I said, you know, if you don't have a solid offense that can generate a good shot down the stretch, you're not going to be successful in the tournament.
So what's their ceiling? Can they get out of the first weekend? It appears that they could have Florida. I'm gonna put in Florida ahead of Northwestern State, which means Northwestern State is going to win. But
Well,
Florida, what type of team is Florida? Is UCLA prepared, or whoever, or Minnesota prepared for Florida?
You know, Florida just likes to shoot those threes so much. It's kind of wild and wacky out there. So
Right.
I don't think that they're predicated for a long run either. And I'm going to probably go with my Big Ten roots and say that Minnesota's going to get out of that first round
Wow.
against UCLA.
Okay, and Rob, you've watched a lot of Florida this year.
You know, I don't really know about Florida. You know, a little bit of a roller coaster season with them,
Yes.
but they are older. I think, you know, they're starting 5, two seniors, 3 juniors.
It's
or
important,
might be
yeah.
inverse. Yeah,
They've been
so
there.
they're a little older. Mike Rosario's finally, after, you know, 5 years in college, sitting out a year after the transfer, he's definitely took on a leadership role. So, you know, we'll see what happens, and obviously Billy Donovan's a great coach.
These are what their efficiency stats look like.
Right,
This is what
exactly.
Florida's backcourt. It's just up and down all over the place. Of course, we have San Diego State. Steve Fisher he's rejuvenated or just juvenated the San Diego State program. They have
There's
Oklahoma.
not many of us out there.
There is not a ton of. I wasn't even going there with that, but I like that. I was just saying San Diego State hasn't been good in a while. So, but I like that still. They have Oklahoma. Oklahoma has a 10 seed. Travis Ford, of course, coming in. He has experience all over the country. Any reason to enjoy this matchup? That tells you everything you need to know. This is a good time to go to our Georgetown blogger, Andrew Geiger from Casual Hoya, because Georgetown, a 2 seed, a dangerous 2 seed, especially with how well the Big East has been playing. Andrew, let's go to your thoughts on what Georgetown can do.
Georgetown Hoyas, well-deserving 2 seed in the South region, taking on Florida Gulf Coast. 15th ranked team in the South. Obviously, that matchup terrifies me, but the region opens up pretty well for Georgetown, setting up a potential rematch with the Florida Gators very nicely in the Sweet 16. The Gators, of course, the team that Georgetown opened the season with on the aircraft carrier. That game was postponed. I think both teams, both fans are looking forward to that rematch. Let's get it on. March Madness.
All right, thank you very much, Andrew. It's just knowledge. Now, let's get into Georgetown with you two. I know you guys have watched a lot of the Hoyas this season. Rob, we'll start with you. You watched a lot of Big East. Otto Porter, how much can he do in this bracket? How good is he? What makes Georgetown great?
Yeah, well, he makes Georgetown great. He's an outstanding player, no question. In fact, Jim Boeheim sort of probably surprised everyone by saying he was not only the best player in college basketball now, but he was the best player that has ever come through the Big East.
Ridiculous.
So, I mean, you're talking about Patrick Ewing, you're talking about guys he's seen, you know, Carmelo Anthony,
Jerry
of course.
McNamara. Come on,
Exactly.
people. Yeah.
But, you know, so, you know, certainly he is the key component there.
Right.
He's made this whole thing very, very efficient. He's an outstanding player. So, what is he averaging, you know, 16.5 points a game, 7.5 rebounds. He shoots, you know, he's a fairly big guy, and he shoots real well from outside. He's shooting 50% from the field, so he can pretty much do everything.
And it doesn't even all show up on the stat sheet either. He's setting the screens. He's keeping the offense moving. He's not the type of star that's just looking for his own shot. He's doing it all within the system, which is...
Well, I think it's interesting. It's taken the third iteration of John Thompson,
Right.
To actually run something that's.
We keep needing more John Thompsons.
You know, and this version is really, really impressive to me because they'll switch from man to zone, which is not very prevalent anymore in the college
Right.
basketball for who we're seeing in the tournament. So he coaches, and this team runs the heck out of their offense as well. So I'm very impressed with them. And Otto Porter, again, is a guy who's someone to watch for sure. So the fact that he can get them to run 30 seconds of offense and wear the other team down and then switch on defense like they do is very impressive to me.
Well, you know, they lead the league, the Big East, in field goal defense. So you know,
Ridiculous.
this
That's
is
a nice thing to have going into a tournament. Quickly, a double-digit Cinderella that you think could reach their pumpkin point. You got South Dakota State with Nate Walters. Been there before. A lot of people like him a lot. You have Minnesota. You mentioned liking Minnesota against UCLA. Minnesota, they could get by UCLA, injuries affecting, and then you have Florida, very reliant on the outside shot.
It's Minnesota, by the way.
Minnesota. And let's go Tubby. I feel good about Tubby. All right, for Rob and Coach Nick and our friends at McDonald's, this has been the Southern Region. Guys, who do you like coming out? Kansas on both accounts? Over Georgetown.
I'm going to go with Georgetown.
I think I feel good about Georgetown. All right, be sure to check out SB Nation, all of the blogs as the tournament unfolds. See you soon.